Okay. Ba ba da ba. Ba ba da ba. Ba ba da ba. Ba ba da ba. Ba da ba 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 da ba ba. Ba.
Welcome to Snazzmaster. I'm Jasper Norwell, and with me tonight is a man whose voice has just gone into puberty, Beo de Alea.
Heyo, I resent that. Anyways.
You can resent that all you want, we have the proof on tape. Or in this
I see.
case, in your local podcast format, because apparently we're recording something called a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And that
I
is,
wonder why it's called podcast, but that's not
yeah,
here nor there.
not about pods, and I think maybe it's a broadcast. Who cares? Because this is Snazzmaster, and we're making, well, I was about to say podcast, but it sounds silly. We're making something about Taskmaster, a show that we're very fond of.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that means that we're going to be talking for a while about a thing that we like, which is totally not self-indulgent. Right, Bill?
Totally not. No.
Totally not.
It's educational.
Well, I would say entertainment more like it, but I suppose a lot of
Educatement.
yes, that word. I mean, I suppose a lot of people have probably learned something from Taskmaster.
Mm,
No, it's true.
sometimes. Sometimes.
I once learned how the fax worked. I learned that from Taskmaster.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
it was a task in the Danish version. The Danish version of the show, it was send a fax. That was
No, that is
apparently
interesting.
that was very difficult for some people.
I know, that's probably why it was a task. It's like, okay,
Like,
let's do this archaic thing.
yeah, like first you have to figure out how do you send a fax, and who the hell can receive a fax?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is you could do that online, and apothecaries still have fax machines.
Kind of makes sense. They have to deal with older clientele, so.
Well, older doctors like it.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a discussion for another episode because we're starting from the top. Well, not immediately from the top, from like the start of the TV show. We're not dealing with the stage show thing that was before this. Because I'm
Oh, there was a
lazy.
stage show before this. I didn't know there was a stage show before this.
And I will, you know what, let's just get with that. Because before there was a TV show, Alex Horn did a thing on the Edinburgh. There's something called the Fringe in Scotland, where comedians do comedian things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had, I think, 10 comedians do some tasks, and then he tallied the points on stage.
Ah.
Yes. And apparently that was so awesome that they almost failed to make a TV show about it.
Almost failed after saying it was so awesome. A little bit of contradiction there.
A bit contradictory, but if you read your media and your history, like I told you to do, you will know that one of our competitors is actually almost directly responsible for this TV show existing.
Mm.
Season 1, Episode 1, titled Melon Buffet,
Oh yeah.
with a dot. That's a point I'll get to in a bit. Our lovely competitors, Frank Skinner, just with the funny hair,
Mm.
Bryson with the funny hair, Brummish with the funny beard, and Tim Key in what looks like cheap bootleg Adidas.
True.
He looks
I like how you
terrible.
only got 2 of the 3's full names. I mean 5's full names. And the other 3 were just like funny hair. Good enough.
Yeah, honestly, I only remember two. Well, how do you pronounce it? Widdicombe. Widdicombe.
I think it was Whitaker.
Widdic. Fuck, I'm gonna have to Google it. And also, that's 4 minutes in, and I have only sworn once. But the point
Ooh.
is, sorry, that was a
That's good
point.
for YouTube's what is it called? Policy, you know?
Yeah, you as long as you don't swear within the first 60 seconds, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Witty Comb. Frank Skinner, just Willy Wonka. Bryson
It's
Conetti.
Whitaker. You hear them say the name a lot in the
Yeah,
first
but that doesn't
episode.
mean I understand it. Tim Key, and of course my favorite name, Jonathan Brummish Ranganathan. His first
Mm-hmm.
name is Jonathan.
Oh,
It is, yeah, it is. His parents
no.
wanted to make him more white.
I guess that's a thing
No,
that
really, he
happens.
made a whole comedy show about it.
Yeah. At least they, can always fall back to their middle name and be like, "No, I am Ramesh." You know?
That is an improvement, yes.
I feel like that's like the importance of like the first middle name system in languages in general is that at least like if at least one becomes a dud, you can fall back to the other. You know?
I mean, Ramesh sounds better than Jonathan.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, does it change the other people's names? I mean, Josh he's Joshua Michael. You know, not much to work with.
I mean, to be fair, you wouldn't fall back to Michael because giving a lot of other things, I think Michael was like way too popular for names, so they probably know like 50 of them.
Everyone knows, a lot of Michaels, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Frank
It's so
Skinner
common.
is Frank Skinner is born as Christopher Graham Collins. So that's like he
Oh
can't fall
wow.
back on any of that.
Completely changed the name. Whoa.
And it's a complete change of name. I think it's probably some kind of legal issue, whatever. You can only have this many actors of, the same name.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
I
That's
see,
a bit
yeah.
issue if your name is Ramesh.
Yeah.
Not a lot of Rameshes running around.
No, yeah.
But to backtrack, if I may,
Mm-hmm.
the reason we have a TV show is because Frank Skinner is the oldest, richest, and most popular person in attendance in this season.
True.
And he's been doing some kind of comedy show in the 90s. When they convinced him to join, all the other comedians joined.
Oh, they were the linchpin.
He was the linchpin. He is the one to blame for us sitting here today.
I always assumed it was Greg that was the linchpin.
I don't know where Greg comes into all of this, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad he does.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't a lot of people who could do what Greg does, after all.
No, truly not.
I mean, imagine Jeremy Clarkson in the role as the Taskmaster.
Well, I don't know who that is, so I can't.
How do you not? How do you watch this many seasons of Taskmaster and not know British people?
Look, my memory is a very weak at best. Okay,
Oh, you did just,
they're just the guy with the face to me after a while.
Well, I mean, you have some very recognizable faces here.
We
Not
do, we
names,
do.
but faces, but faces.
Exactly.
And I believe the thumbnail for this video is, of course, Ramesh, topless. I painted it,
Yeah.
don't worry. That's a very recognizable face.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
yes, Frank Skinner is to blame. And I can tell you, Greg is also to blame for something.
Oh, and what is
He
that?
lasts 30 seconds into the show before breaking character.
Really? What do you consider to be the break then?
Well, he starts to laugh while introducing, I believe it was Josh. Why didn't I write that down? He was laughing 30 seconds in. Very super serious TV show this.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're all comedians trying to one up each other. Eventually, one of them's got to break, you know?
Yeah, but you're not supposed to make yourself break.
True,
On
true.
the list, of course.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if you look at Greg Davis's Wikipedia picture, I mean, I just think he was born looking like he was breaking character. Maybe he was
Oh,
just. You're looking at it right now, right?
no,
No, but you probably should. I
probably
think you would
should.
agree with me on that one. He looks a
Eh,
bit. I don't know what to say. I'm not going to say peculiar. That's the word I'm looking for. Peculiar. I mean, of course, they all look peculiar. You gotta look
mm,
peculiar to be a comedian, right?
True. Greg
When
Davis is doing that, head shrinking in laugh face.
yeah, his head just became a raisin or something. And apparently, I think Raisin's name is probably pronounced closer to raisin. Rasheen, which
Oh,
is
Rasin?
almost Yeah, that's almost how I would pronounce raisin, to be honest.
Rousing Kanati, yeah.
Rasheen. Don't worry, we'll get that name wrong a lot of times.
I know. Every time I was hearing that name, I thought it was a completely different name every time in the show. I was like, who are we talking about again?
Well, the sole woman in the show, that's what we're talking about.
True.
And looking at the numbers, we have the first 3 seasons only had one woman in each. And I believe they fell into a pattern of always having 2 women after that.
Hmm. Hmm.
But that's neither here nor there, to be honest. That's just a casual observation.
I just
Just,
wonder how the selection process is done, you know?
I believe it works like this. I know a mate who know this guy, who you might want for the show. Should I call him? I mean, some of
Hmm.
these comedians obviously know each other beforehand.
Yeah, yeah.
Greg did a show with Rod Gilbert, who's in a few seasons' time. He also knows Rasheen privately, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Something he is bullying her about repeatedly.
Exactly.
And
Like every introduction is about something I knew about you from living with you.
yeah, I mean you don't get much better than bullying someone you know personally.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
just works. It just works.
It just works. Hmm.
But you know what? Enough about that. I want to talk about Cheers.
The chairs. You mean
Cheers.
the plush theater chairs?
Yes, actually. I just noticed something. Was having one of them thinking moments, Thought.
Mm, I thought that's
Where,
dangerous, but go on.
where do you get a throne with a built-in tablet holder?
Probably custom made. They probably got the throne and brought it to someone and be like, please retrofit this with a tablet holder.
Yes, and then they painted the whole thing gold.
Hmm.
I looked at it. I actually studied the episode. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what they did. They glued that sucker on, and painted the whole thing gold. Which
Hmm.
is a shame because I think there is a business model here where you just buy chairs with tablet holders, like, or a dedicated throne shop.
I don't know how in demand that is to warrant a mass production, you know?
Oh come on! Don't do mass production. Think artisan, artisan.
Artisan, yeah. But that's what comes back to the retrofitting part, whereas you probably wouldn't have like a shop for it. You'd probably be like the guy to go to do weird things to chairs and be like, "Hey, I got a chair here. I want you to do something too," you know?
Well, I mean, it is Taskmaster. They probably have several of those guys.
Hmm. I
It,
mean, probably there is like a lot of like specialty uh craftsmen in these kind of industries, whereas like, yeah, I'm the guy who does the weird things for the theater industry when it comes to chairs, you know?
you know what? When I think about it, wasn't that the premise of how the MythBusters met each other? Like they were those guys.
Yeah, they were in the movie industry.
Yeah.
They were specifically the special effects specialists
Yeah.
for
See that?
explosions and stuff.
Yeah. So I'm sure there is a chair specialist somewhere.
There's probably specialists for like every nook and cranny in that industry.
Fascinating, fascinating thought. Um, I have a different theory, and this actually, and I'm
Hmm.
just moving ahead now because, I mean, we could talk about Frank Skinner forever, I know, and chairs. But have you ever considered that maybe they found a chair in one of the prize tasks?
Found Sharon and won the prize task. You mean from when it was the theater show?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying the first task, the first prize task, right, is the most
Mm-hmm.
unusual item.
Yeah.
And what is more unusual than a chair with a tablet holder? Actually, I mean, we know what it is, but
True, but that's not too unusual. Though, now that we're on to the discussion of the prize tax, I have to say, in general, I appreciate the prize task for what it is structurally in the show because it gives it a portion of a live thing. So I consider like the prize task and the final task to be like structurally important, so that has a live aspect to it, but not in the grand scheme important in like even being notable really beyond its one-time shock value and be like, okay, it's done. Don't really care about it anymore.
I mean, you could say that about every task in the show. It's not like a lot of it ties together with the rest.
No, but at least like the main three tasks they do, like I do have opinions about which ones of them are better than others and what makes a good task, but at least the ones that I do consider to be good are kind of tasks where you can like repeat them and be like, all right, now think about this again and think about this again, and every time it's intriguing. But when it comes to like the live tasks, they're like one and done. It's like, okay, it's not intriguing really to think about this beyond its one time or ever again, really.
That is true. I can think of one hilarious exception again from the Danish version of the show.
Mm.
There was a guy, an immigrant, who he put his passport up as the collateral, and the running gimmick for the whole episode was, if I lose this show, I might get deported.
Yeah.
That,
Well, did
that
they lose?
I don't remember. Maybe he did.
Oof.
I mean, he was still around for the later episodes, so maybe they didn't deport him. Maybe he won.
I mean, I'm sure there were like other legalities where they came back and was like, yeah, no, we can't actually legally do this. Take your passport back.
I think legality is such a niche and cringe word.
Barely.
Unless, of course, health and safety is involved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I will say, though, just in
Holy
case,
shit! I just realized that on the Greg Davids' thing, they say they're 2.03 meters.
I did notice
They're
that.
they're tall. They're a tall boy.
He's a tall
Oh.
boy. And this is just me talking, he's not gay. Now,
Okay.
hear me out. Hear me out, Bayo. Hear me out.
Uh-huh.
I have watched 8 seasons of this before I went to his Wikipedia page. I assumed he was gay the whole time.
Okay.
I don't know why. He just gave that vibe.
Okay. I know.
So, no. He's he's tall and straight.
Mm.
Yeah, sorry for taking, that out of your equation.
Yeah,
But
that yeah,
I mean,
I
just
kind of feel
like,
derailed here, so.
yeah, I'm sorry. And that's what I do for a living. I derail people.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of makes me wonder, how tall is Ramesh, because he's not exactly small, is he?
No,
No,
Ramesh
he's
is.
actually average. Never mind.
Yeah,
A
that's
manlet,
good.
if you will.
Mm-hmm.
An absolute
Anyways,
manlet. Yes,
about
sorry.
the prize task this time.
I don't think a reindeer skull is that unusual. There, I said it.
Yeah, it also depends on where you come from. Like some regions, just finding animal parts is just the norm. When you're just more rural.
I mean, I think in most parts it's not exactly unusual to find a skull.
An animal skull specifically, you have a wild animal.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if it'd been covered in glitter, I would have called it unusual. Now it's just a skull.
Mm-hmm. True. I
Now,
mean, they are more of a northern animals, but they are also a northern island, so that kind of also goes hand in hand a little
I
bit. But I don't
mean,
actually wait. Actually, are reindeers native to Britain?
and to Google we go.
Yeah.
I mean, now I'm suddenly curious too. Sure. This is important. Apparently, they used to until the 13th century.
Damn. Okay. Well, that makes it a little bit more unusual to them specifically.
Yeah, I'm not, necessarily agreeing with that. With it
Well,
being
again, for them, they have to import it explicitly.
true. But I still think Frank had a better one, antique grape scissors.
Yeah, that's very unusual.
I've never
Yeah.
seen that, I never heard of that. And up until the next task, I'd never thought of something like that existing. Until I thought of something else existing, and it did exist, we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but also, and this is a recurring theme for this season, don't try to bribe Greg with football stuff. And
True.
if you're Josh, don't try to give him a signed football. where there are no signatures on.
Exactly. That was great when they were like blaming the staff. It was like, your crew wiped it off. You ruined my football.
I
That was
mean,
probably planned the whole time going in.
yeah, sure. And even if they didn't, and I'm just checking this, the Plymouth Argyle squad that lost the playoffs in the third highest tier in 1994, it's hardly a prize, is it?
Yeah, that's hardly a prize at that point. You're true.
I mean, I like football, but even I don't care about Plymouth Argyle. I'm not even sure where
Mm-hmm.
Plymouth is. I think it's on the south coast. That's not the point. It's. I mean, think of it. Even if it had been signed, who would have cared? Except people in Plymouth.
True.
Hey now, speaking of ball-related incidents, would you like to have a task? Well, I mean, not you doing a task because we don't have the budget for that. But
True, but I know what you're doing. You're making the play on the phrase that Alex Horn uses when presenting the first task of the episode.
yes, and the question is, are you hungry?
Nope, not right now.
Yeah, honestly, me
Especially not
neither.
for what's coming up here.
No. I mean, the melon buffet. Well, I mean, no, that's not what it's called. It's the eat as much watermelon as possible in a minute.
hmm
And immediately, I'm just making an observation.
Oh, what's your observation here?
Do you need safety goggles for melon?
That was probably another legality thing. It's like where they're like talking to their lawyers, and the lawyers is like, you know what? Fuck it. Yes, safety goggles. I don't want
It's
to deal with this shit.
just like in case someone gets like a piece of watermelon in their eye or something.
The seed specifically, probably.
I mean, that would be rotten luck if you smash a watermelon and the seed flies up and blinds you.
hmm
You would
Though I
probably
gotta say, now that we're onto this first task, I have to now put out my what's it called, motif, or oh no, what is it called? Fuck it, I forget the word. But anyways, about like my opinion on what makes a good task. I
go
feel that
on.
the watermelon task is the epitome of the perfect Taskmaster task. It is very simple. It is very physics based, and it is on the spot panic inducing. There's no preparation. There's nothing. It's just here it is. Very simple. Go for it. But you also it's still slightly open ended in how you go for it. It's not like a exact concise like you have to do one thing specifically in one way, which comes up in the same time in this later in this episode. So we'll get back to that explanation later. But I do consider this watermelon task to be the perfect ideal Taskmaster task archetype.
Yes, and I would agree with you if it wasn't for the fact that you were wrong.
Oh.
Because they did have time to prepare. Josh went for tools.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that's. I can't remember the word for it, but that's pretty smart, isn't it? Every time the time hasn't started, go get a knife.
Or go get other things. Yeah, that was
Just get a
that was.
knife. You can almost always use a knife for Taskmaster tasks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with him bringing a spoon, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. True, but yeah, Josh Whitaker had the most sane, logical conclusions. Like, all right, watermelon, get the things, let's go.
I mean, yeah, just get the thing. It's a watermelon. We gotta cut it open or something like that. A very
I mean,
intelligent solution.
yeah, and the exact opposite is Rawson's solution, where they just walked in as like, oh, it's a whole watermelon.
Yeah, like, but it's from where we get the classic quote. I thought there was gonna be a melon buffet. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
no, I mean, that would certainly have been a task, but not quite the same task.
Mm-hmm.
Although, if someone had presented me let's say, a 3-liter watermelon smoothie, I would probably have panicked. I
Oh,
mean, I
like
would
a
panic regardless, but
well, I mean, that still makes it a little easier than the solid watermelon, because at least you your biology allows you to chug liquids better than solids, you know?
yeah, but even if a watermelon is liquefied, and I know it's very liquid by nature, it's still not quite a liquid.
Mm.
And I mean, you could do a lot of fun things with watermelons, like putting vodka in it and putting other alcohol things in it, and that's roughly it, actually. But even
Okay.
so, I have noticed that melons are solid,
Very solid indeed.
but not more solid that you can't use violence for it.
Yes, the good solutions.
Just grab it and smash it.
Uh-huh.
Not sure.
Ramesh's obvious smash to the floor was the best answer. Just instantly go.
Just violence. I mean, I think Rummage should have aimed for the table, but you know, it
But to be fair, when they explained it, it was like I thought a watermelon was much harder than it actually
yeah,
was. And
But
when you think it's that hard, like slamming against the table becomes even more of a no-no because like, oh, the table's gonna shatter if I do this.
I would say if he had shattered a table with a watermelon, that would have been a great moment there. I mean,
It'll be a great moment for us, but not for him who has to now eat a watermelon amongst the broken pieces.
I mean, that's his problem, not ours.
Hmm.
I mean, in general, that is just the whole show. That's their problem, not ours.
Hmm. Though I
And
gotta say that Frank Skinner had the elegant violent solution where they cracked it on the corner and split it that way, then
very
went in with
elegant,
scooping.
very
Yep.
elegant, and somehow still slower than Josh.
Mhm. I mean, to be fair, I think that was more about like Josh's ability to force feed himself better than Frank's.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta let that wild man out.
Hmm. Hmm. And I actually wonder, like, were the watermelons the same size for all of them, or did they bet on the fact like no one's gonna finish a watermelon, so
I'm glad
the
you asked.
differentials don't matter.
Because I've been wondering how they calculated it, right? Because they must have taken 5 watermelons, weighed them before, and weighed them after, right?
That's exactly how they did it. Exactly. They said like we that's why it was in the plastic room because like they scooped up all the remains and weighed that.
Including the vomit.
Yes, including the vomit, which they
And
mentioned separately just in case there was a ruling on that.
which is your really dedication to the work. Measuring
Uh-huh.
vomit.
Hmm.
And you gotta respect that. And of course, the top tip is don't vomit.
Top
Because,
tip. Nah, I win.
nah, when that's true. But it does actually add another element to the task, right?
Hmm.
Because when you vomit, you don't just vomit up the melon, right? You vomit some stomach acid too, right?
Maybe
And
it depends on the situation, partly. So like, okay, so on the scale of how much stomach acid is involved, the all stomach acid involved scale is when you vomit from a source where the watermelon did not make it to the stomach yet.
yeah, but
Then
that's
it's like
true.
pure. Then it's like the most stomach acid you can get in the vomit at once. But if the watermelon made it to the stomach and then you vomited it after that point, because of the absorption and how digestion works, it actually would contain less stomach acid than the it didn't make it in the first place situation.
I'm not privy to the details, but I am wondering, right?
Hmm.
Because, I mean, obviously something had to come up along with the watermelon, right?
Hmm.
And if they
No,
had.
yes, definitely in Ramesh's case, it was stomach acid induced because according to Ramesh in the post analysis in the live show, the watermelon was in their throat when they were having gag reactions to cause the vomit.
And I assume, of course, that you have studied the vomit. I hadn't thought it this much through, to be honest. I'm
But
just
no,
saying
I
that,
think in this case, Ramesh did maximize the amount of stomach acid that goes out with the vomit in this case.
I'm just saying that maybe you could lose on grounds of producing more melon than started.
Oh,
Like,
that's a good
if you
point.
have 500 grams of watermelon and you vomit up 5 grams of stomach acid or something, you have 505 grams of melon suddenly?
Hmm. Hmm.
Or, um, you know what? I'm working on it, okay? The
That
details
also
are.
gets like into the weirder question, like, did they intentionally let the vomit watermelon dry out a little bit?
This is one of those things where I think you'd have to talk to the users of the show.
Yeah,
You know,
unknown
hey,
history.
y'all remember back 9 years ago when this guy vomited? How long did it go before you scooped it up?
Mhm.
And does stomach acid, evaporate?
True. I mean, it definitely evaporates, but, like, did they intentionally let it evaporate?
I a good question. Excellent question. Amazing question. No clue. Just no clue.
There's no clue.
There never will be, I guess. But is there a smarter way of doing this?
Of the watermelon task?
Eh.
Or the measuring?
No, oh, sorry, yeah, to eat the smash and grab, basically.
Is there a smart way to do the smash and grab? Mm, I feel like no, I think Tim had, like, the best answer of smashing on the table since that does work. Because anything else, you're wasting time in prepping it than just consuming it, you know?
I guess. I mean, what if you
Well, let's
start
be honest.
throwing...
Oh, sorry.
No, I know, sorry, I was just thinking, what if you cheat? Can you cheat here, like, hide watermelon in your pants or something?
Ah, you mean like Tim tried to pull off at the end?
Well,
Mhm.
that too, but worse. Like, just take watermelon and just yeet it out of the laboratory.
That would be on the camera. They would point it out, like they point out Tim's sneaky thing at the end and be like, "No, fuck you, boy."
Oh. Ah.
And especially since they had them go in with the full plastic suit, so it's like, where are you gonna put it?
Inside the suit.
But then that's a very obvious action, and they'll come back to the like, "No, fuck you, boy."
Well, I mean, yes, but,
Mhm.
you ain't cheating. If you ain't trying, if you're not cheating,
Oh, no, I don't agree. You
Yeah,
disrespect the purity of the Taskmaster's tasks when you cheat.
I'm pretty sure the Taskmaster would disagree with that.
Oh, I don't think so. The Taskmaster disqualifies you if they catch you cheating in any form.
Ah, but not if you, break the rules very violently. I mean, the difference between bending and breaking the rules, very complicated. Very complicated business.
But didn't Tim get explicitly disqualified in this one?
No, he lost a point.
Oh,
He was
interesting.
penalized for eating after the time ended.
Mhm.
Which means I believe the vomit did count.
Mhm, mhm.
On a final note for the melon task, right?
Uh-huh.
I actually googled watermelon scissors.
That's a thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I can't show a picture of it. I can send you a link to the Amazon page. Sorry, but I'm afraid the viewer slash listener cannot really join in on this. It's more like a melon spoon that scoops up cubes of melon.
Mhm. I mean, to be fair, you could edit in the image.
I could, but what if you're listening?
True, but, that's on them at that point.
Skill issue.
Yep.
Absolute skill issue. So here's a picture of a watermelon thing. It's on screen now. Enjoy it.
Mm.
And it's gone. There we go. I don't know if that would have helped, but I think it's funny.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Shall we move on to the other end of the melon task? And by that, I mean a picture of literal shit.
Oh, wait, what?
Sorry, what I'm trying
Literal
to say is, would you like to move on to the next task, which is about horse painting?
okay, that okay, I didn't know where you were going with that joke,
I'm
but yes,
going
let's move on
somewhere
to
with
the
this. I'm
horse.
not sure. I
Yeah.
actually know where I'm going for once.
Mhm.
And I'm going to the fact that they start off the task by showing a fresh pile of horse shit, and it's steaming.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I don't know if it would be steaming if it ate watermelon. I'm not an expert on horse shit.
Yeah, it's always steaming. It's more of the effect of, like, how their digestion process works in general than the contents that go into it. But anyways,
But now we move into, I assume it's a kind of task you might not like, the subjective task.
the subjective part, I don't mind. But you're right, I don't like this task. It's a cute task, but I don't like it because of how constrained an approach it is. It is specifically, you are on the horse, you are painting the horse. There's no question of what you're doing here.
No, it's just a matter of athleticism, you know?
Exactly. But unlike the watermelon, where it's like there's slight, like, different approaches where you can be like, yes, we're doing the same thing, but one person went for tools, one person went for a smash and grab, one person just forgot entirely. This thing is like very cut and dry. It's like, nope, you're
Yeah,
on the
there
horse,
is
you're painting.
isn't a lot to say, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I will also say, I gave it some thought.
Mm-hmm.
I think riding a horse is easier than painting a horse.
Oh yeah, especially since, like, with a good enough saddle, there's like no effort into the riding part.
The horse does all the work for you.
Exactly.
You're just sitting there.
Mm-hmm. Especially with a well-trained horse, like, you can really train those horses well to be like just go by themselves and autopilot all the way with no input.
It's a horse. It knows what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. So, I mean, Frank wins this task. I'm not sure I agree, but I don't get art and I don't get horses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I will say there is one ethical debate to have because Roshin finished last again, and that is the debate of what is a horse.
What is that? Oh.
She was penalized for riding a mechanical horse rather than a real horse, but the task never specified that.
True. True.
It's just riding a horse.
Mm-hmm.
And, what's a horse?
But we also got to keep it a weird thing and keep it into the perspective of, like, how professional they were about setting up the task, where they had that backup in hand, ready to go.
I don't know how riding schools work, but I would imagine that maybe? I don't know.
Maybe.
I,
I
I,
mean,
I've never
to
been
be
on a
honest, I
horse.
I totally believe that they, like, actually brought in the mechanic horse. The production did as a
I,
backup
I'm
ahead of
willing to
time.
believe that it probably was there on the side already.
Okay,
I don't know. It's a hunch.
just a hunch. Mhm.
I mean, I don't know what to say. It makes sense to just have a mechanical horse, because you might want to train someone in riding.
Mhm. Mhm.
That begs the second question. If you're standing Tuesday after lunch, where the hell do you get a mechanical horse? Like, do you just call a horse rental store or something? What if they bring you a mechanical bull instead?
I mean, theoretically, technically, what is the difference between those besides the intensity you set the program to?
I don't know, but I know one is a bull, one is a horse.
Mhm.
And that the task is while riding a horse.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I don't know. I mean, you know, could you just like ride a stick horse or something? Just put a stick up between your legs, go giddy up, and just run around while painting. That would be difficult, actually.
Mhm.
That'd be
True.
very difficult.
But that would be great to see, especially if they left it open-ended. It's like, here, we put you here, and this is your task, but we don't actually, like, force you onto the horse. Just,
Get on the
like, if you
horse
put 2 and 2
yourself.
together.
Here's the task. Here's the horse. Have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, not much to say about this task. It's a painting task. There's several of them, but
Mhm.
I don't know shit about art.
True, true.
Like, apparently one of them drew like a fucking armadillo instead, but it's all horse to me. It's all horse to me.
Mhm. Exactly.
So, to summarize, Frank wins, Tim fourth. No, sorry, Rumish fourth. You might start to see a trend here. who's leading the show at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joel, Ramesh, and Frank, and that's important because we'll get to that later. I'm not saying they rigged it, but I'm just saying we'll get to it later.
True.
I don't know if you can rig this show, but again, we'll get to that with the final of the show, so don't tune away just yet.
I think they technically can because they have more tasks that are actually performed than
Yeah,
used in the show.
but then
So they could select a subset that makes a winner, you know?
yeah, but then you have the live task. You can't rig the live task.
You can't, but if you like have so much of the main 3 tasks that even assuming last place in all live tasks, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, but okay, so just to spoil the episode, right? Frank and Ramesh ends at 19 points each.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they of course pick and choose what tasks goes where, right?
Yeah.
It's television after all.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I find it hard to figure out how they can rig it. Then
Well, here's a simple thing. Here's a simple way you can rig it. You look at the 3 tasks of the main tasks you do, right?
yeah,
And which also I think the prize task is four-handed too. But anyways, of the main 3, let's just talk about the main 3.
yeah,
And you say, this person I want the winner, right? So we go through our entire set of tasks and we pick enough tasks such that the winner's total is 6 ahead, second place by the time we make it to the final task. The winner doesn't have to win every task, but they have to be 6 ahead, the second person, by the final task. Or actually, sorry, they only need to be 5 ahead.
yeah. That's how you pick a winner. But how do you make a tie?
Oh, no, you can't make a tie. No, definitely not.
Well, that's my whole philosophy here. Like, are they making a tie?
Oh, did they rig up a tie? No, probably not. No, definitely not.
I mean, probably not. I'm just thinking, it's the first episode of the season, the first episode of the show. Why not make it slightly more exciting?
Mm.
But again, that's speculation on my part. I don't know anything.
I wonder if they also like have collusion, you know, where they're like, all right, bruh, we're in this point. We need you to try to tie it up. So you throw and you win. Go for it.
It wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. And I wouldn't hold it against them. I mean, it's not a serious competition. It's bloody Taskmaster.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You gotta amp up the drama. Can you imagine like they had like a whole like hand signaling system so that they can communicate that in the middle of the show with no one noticing? Be like, do you know what to do?
I mean, to be fair, they cut so much in the stage segments. Yeah, of course they could do that, and we wouldn't notice.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't be that. I wouldn't be different. I mean, I also don't think that the loser, no, sorry, the winner gets a reindeer skull, but that's beside the point. Would be more fun that way, though.
Yeah. I do wonder about like how real the prize task is.
I don't think the
Actually.
money ones are.
Mm-hmm.
There's the one I don't. Is it this season or next season where someone shows up with a blank check?
I think it was in the first season, but I remember that. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's just a blank check. Whatever sign, I will just,
I believe they also explicitly stated because they checked in real time. It's like, what is the withdrawal limit on a check?
Yeah. I just checked. It is Josh in episode 5.
Yeah, and I believe the limit was 20,000 pounds.
Which he would have won because, and I checked, Frank put in a ring that's worth $4,000.
Mm-hmm.
And Ferguson shows up with a 12-pound diamond in quotation marks. That's neither here nor there. That's for that episode, but it's a fun one.
True. But back to this episode.
Yes. Would you like to take a bath?
I would. Speaking
Yes.
of.
Speaking of, it's task number 3, or 4, or however you count it.
I count it as 3. I count like the 3 different things as the prize task, the 3 tasks, 1, 2, 3, and the final task as different segments. So I do count this as 3.
And the task is completely empty a bathtub the quickest, parentheses, without removing plug or tipping / damaging the bath. And this is my favorite kind of task, you know. A really frustrating task with a very clear goal.
True.
And a very objective ending, right?
Yes, and it's also a good task in my books because the same thing like I explained with the watermelon, that it's on the spot, panic-inducing, physical based, and you can take any approach you want.
Any approach you want, short of cheating, or, well, I don't know.
Sort of Tim's approach.
Well, yes, but I mean, he only tried to cover up an accident. He didn't take the plug out.
That's more fair. But to be fair, as we go on the series, the accidents get less and less accidental.
Yeah, but those are the best kinds of accidents.
That's like Tim's whole character in this
It's
series,
just whole,
yeah.
oh, I have accidentally committed something muggy. And muggy is, I believe, the word the Taskmaster YouTube channel uses to describe such things. Muggy.
That's probably a colloquialism.
Yeah, neither of us are British for some reason.
Yeah, that's gonna come up in the second episode. But anyways, still here today.
Still here today.
Yeah. Frank had the great idea of performing a siphon in the beginning.
Yeah, no,
and just
that's not
forgot how to do it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It was still a shit idea even if it had worked.
Oh, why do you say that?
Well, I mean, he's using a garden hose, and it's so small that by the time that would have drained, like, most of the water, we would have died of old age.
I don't know. I would have to actually know like the exact size of the garden hole to either confirm or deny your claim there.
I'm just saying that Rummage and Tim did it considerably faster than a garden hose could. You can't really debate that. They did it in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, but do you know how much water a garden hose pops out in seconds?
No, but I assume you're about to tell me. Is there some kind of European standard garden hose? Yeah, on Google again.
Yeah, we're gonna Google this. I believe it would be like, I do believe it would be faster.
I mean, first of all, there is a European standard for everything. And that's just a fact. But is there one for size? Max pressure, 4 bars.
So I just looked up average garden hose output rate, which is 9 to 17 gallons per minute. And now let's look up size of a bathtub.
Emphasis on British bathtub, because British people do things differently.
True. 30 gallons. So between 2 and 3 minutes.
But that's presuming everything goes correctly the first time.
True, which Frank failed, but
I mean, he wasn't the only one to try that, but he still failed.
No, I think Frank was the only one who tried to siphon.
No. I want to say Josh tried it too.
No, Josh never pulled out a hose.
There was definitely someone who tried to suck it up. No pun intended.
No, that was Frank, because that's how you have to start the siphon.
No, because 2 people did it. And I'm going to go as far, and I can't believe I'm doing this, I'm going to go find the episode again.
I mean, I already have it up. Let me go.
But then you'll go ahead and confirm what I'm saying.
I got hit with an ad. Anyways, you go ramble on while I confirm.
I'm simply saying that, yes, okay, fine, maybe if you use math, it could suck the whole thing up in, how much did you say, 4 gallons a minute or a second? No, not a second.
9 to 17 gallons a minute of a 30-gallon tub, so 2 to 3 minutes. Also, Josh Whitaker used a garbage can.
Okay, well, someone tried to do a sucky. That wasn't Frank. I'm pretty sure of that. But they gave up quickly.
Oh, no, you're right. Josh Whitaker did do a first attempt and then moved to the garbage can. Vindication. You are vindicated, yeah. They also tried it, but they had but they were doing manual sucking. They didn't try to start a siphon.
Well, I mean, the principle remains the same.
Yeah.
But overall, you wouldn't get a constant rate. You wouldn't get a constant flow rate, would you?
No, you would, because its gravity is the constant force that supplies a siphon. Like, it's a weird physical property that how siphons work, but it is constant.
I had physics in high school, but that's beyond me.
Yeah, but
Where
no,
I
it's constant unless you have disturbances in the liquid itself that can change its flow, but this
and
is
I'm glad you say that actually, because there is one. And this is
the
one of the
ducky?
quick. Okay, also the doggy. You
Mhm,
gotta have a rubber dog, obviously.
mhm.
But, and I wrote this down because I knew we were gonna discuss this. Is foam a help or a hindrance? Yeah, you're
It's a
thinking?
slight hindrance because of its air contact as a compressible liquid. It would slightly, when the foam enters the tube, it can be compressed, but once it's compressed to the same density, then it stops being hindrance. So it's a slight hindrance.
Yeah, because, I mean, unless you're constantly sucking, you're not gonna get the air compressed.
No, remember the force that does the compression is the gravity pushing on the water, forcing the water into the tube. And also the foam will be the last thing that goes into the tube because it's on the surface of the water, but the source of water going into the tube is actually the bottom of the water, not the surface.
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of that, but at some point, the surface of the water will reach the bottom.
Yeah, and that's when you have to resort to the towel like everyone had to.
Well, you say resort to the towel. Surprisingly, many people ran into a toilet and got toilet paper instead. And by surprisingly many, I think 2 people did, Rumish included.
No,
No, I
I
don't
thought
think it
Ramesh ran for a towel too.
several people ran in and they grabbed toilet paper, and I don't get that because if you're in the toilet, and we live in a civilized world here, so there's probably a towel too. I say probably, but you know,
No, Ramesh is using a towel. I have the screenshot up. They're
I,
using a towel.
I'm simply saying, why do you go for toilet paper?
I still don't think any of them went for toilet paper.
They
I'm checking
did.
again. I'm checking again right now.
You can take it. At least one person. I think 2 people. I should have written out who did it. Just grab the roll of toilet paper.
So Rostin didn't. They just gave up and stopped.
Honestly, I would
Didn't
have done the
actually dry
same.
it up. Let's see.
And it
Let's go
still didn't
check
finish
Josh.
last.
Let's see. What did Josh finish with?
Disappointment.
Oh, Josh did the toilet paper. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Josh did, but and Frank did too. You're right. Frank and Josh did.
I like being right.
It's a good feeling.
It's a great feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just strikes me as weird, especially when Rumish then goes on to prove, there's a towel. Fuck's sake. And also, how do you pronounce that word again? Towel.
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 Yeah, that's good enough. I mean, like that word is weird dialectically, I think, because like the crux of the word, the WEL sound, is not consistent across dialects or the English language as a whole.
And
So like well and towel kind of different from each other, but they have WEL and it's a whole fucking thing.
just for the benefit of the listener, I'm ESL.
Mhm.
English second language, so none of this
And
works.
I'm dumb.
You said that, not me.
Yes, I acknowledge my dumbness. I can't with language. Anyways, but it also makes me wonder about the situation, like because they always had full access to the house. So I wonder if there was a shop vacuum or any sort of vacuum in the house
Yeah, but
anywhere.
they did. I believe it was Frank who did ask if there was a Hoover. Which
True,
honestly,
Frank did ask.
yeah, and I feel that's a solution. That's would have been my go-to as well in that situation. Just, I
Yeah.
mean, then again, you have to get. I mean, if you have to get a handheld Hoover, but then again, I'm sure there's a
No, there's a
solution.
power outlet actually by the tub there,
Is
by
there?
the garage. I mean, not the garage, the shed. Right next to the shed, there's a power outlet.
Well, I mean, that does help.
hmm So you could get it there and working. But assumably, because the question was asked, it must not exist.
Well, I mean, maybe they just like, please don't electrocute yourself, man. Well,
That's a
although I
good point.
think
Maybe they did say like lawyer says no.
that does sound like something Alex would say. Uh, the lawyer says no, or something like that. I can't sound like
Yeah.
Alex.
Mhm. I don't think I
Um,
could impersonate Alex either. But anyways.
I'm not even gonna try actually, so I like to apologize.
Mhm.
2.5 minutes was the time, and you're suggesting, let's say we brought 2 garden hoses.
Oh no, if you do two, it won't physically work. It has to be a singular source.
Then it's not gonna work, is it? It's not gonna be faster than just jumping in and getting a bucket.
Well, I mean, it's a gamble at this point because again, I said it was between 2 and 3 minutes. So, like, it could be faster, it could be slower. It's a variable there.
Yeah, well, I don't like it. And I still think, and I think Tim would agree with me, and Archimedes would agree with me. Why don't you just immediately jump into the bathtub and force the water out with your fat ass?
Yeah, physical displacement. That's a good thing. Like, that's a good point. Like, it's like, all right, how many towels were in the house? Do I have enough towels to physically force all the water out?
I mean, I low-key did consider if you could just throw stuff into it until it emptied, but
Well,
that would take a long time.
well, you would also need purely solid things because if the thing was hollow in any measure, it would fuck you up. So you would need pure solid things. So that's why I go with towels. Like, if you had enough towels, that would work well.
What if you throw members of the production crew in? How many unpaid interns can you fit into a bathtub?
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, that's what they exist for.
As we'll see later in the season.
That is also true.
Yeah.
If you don't like suffering, don't work on Taskmaster.
hmm
That is the gist of it. But I believe we can come to an agreement on one thing here, a compromise, if you will.
Oh,
The fastest thing would be hose and bucket at the same time.
true. Multiple sources at once. Yeah.
And probably also jump into it.
hmm
It's just all in. But of course, I mean, that's hindsight. We're recording this from hindsight.
From hindsight, I would definitely jump to the siphon conclusion and attempt to siphon. But my little stature means I probably wouldn't have the lung capacity to even start it.
That is a skill issue.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't see much. I mean, you could move the bathtub, sure, but
Oh, that's a good point.
I'm thinking right now. Go on, Bale.
Because we learned from a later part, like through exposure to other episodes, the fact that they are nearby a river. And like the task was don't move don't move the plug or tip the tub.
Oh, I see what you're going at.
But if I like secured the plug in place and threw it in the river, but didn't tip it, would that technically have released all the water because it's
No, but
out?
here's the thing: it would just be replaced with river instead.
True, yeah.
Um, I was thinking slightly different because what counts as tipping? Like in my book, if you tip something, it's like 90 degrees, right? You tip
Now we're
something.
getting to like the exact degree level. I feel like if I was a Taskmaster, the minute you go like pick it up from one side and the water spills out the other side, I go, that's tipping. Done.
I mean, no, that's just aggressive movement.
Mhm.
Really aggressive movement. Just
Mhm.
like I would say tipping, just gently rock it back and forth. And accidentally spilling water everywhere, and don't hope you don't accidentally drop it.
Mhm.
But that's, an idea.
An
Um,
idea.
and I have many of those, and none of them are good.
Yeah, I definitely think like the bucket strategies were actually the best strategies in practice because like reliably starting a siphon is a little hard here unless you were planning to siphon and brought the siphon in the first place.
Yeah, I can't read minds.
Exactly. So I think the
Apparently.
bucket is like the most reliable one.
It's a bit like the watermelon, right? You see a solution, don't think, just go ape shit.
Yeah, just go ape shit.
Just go ape shit. And now I gotta clear my throat. Talking is a very difficult thing.
You know, just have a handy piece of dynamite in your pocket at all times, so in case you need to evacuate water from a bathtub.
It happens, you might damage it.
Hmm, That's worth the risk.
What if you inflated a balloon on the
Oh,
bottom of the bathtub?
you're right. A clown would win this task very easily that way. Yeah.
Yeah, come to think of it, yeah. Like, you get one of them helium tanks, and, like... You know what? I saw a YouTube video once, right? Where they filled water into a condom.
Yeah, those things can expand a lot.
They can get bigger than a bathtub.
Yeah,
So,
true.
like, just in case all the water... just get a helium tank, get a condom, blow it up underwater, and win the task in around 20 seconds.
That also makes me wonder what the contents of the house is fully. Like, what is the full contents of the house? Like, do we get, like, if you were brought on Taskmaster, would you be given a day to just, like, explore the house and be like, okay, that's there, and just learn what the house is?
I don't know, but I imagine they do get to see, here's a shed with some things, and here's a kitchen. Oh, sorry for yawning. Here's a garage, I like to think they get to skim the place first.
Yeah. Oh, there's probably bedrooms in there. You know what? We were talking about towels, but now that I think about it, if I was exposed to the house beforehand, I wouldn't know if there was a bedroom or not. And I would probably also jump to the first conclusion of like, bedroom, sheets, comforters, stuff it in.
No, because I just had an even better idea.
Oh.
A top mattress.
The whole mattress.
It just, I have one of those mattresses, is about, what, an inch thick?
Oh, like that kind of
Yeah,
mattress.
if I just...
Okay, not... Yeah.
I put that on top of the bathtub, and I put myself in the middle of it and force the top mattress down. The water will not soak into the mattress quick enough, but it will just go poof, all over the place,
Yeah, that actually is so good too. Depends if the house has it or not, but again,
Well,
that's
I
where we
don't
come
know.
to the mystery of the house itself.
It's a mystery that we can't solve. But I don't know. I'm kind of out of bathtub related things actually at this point.
Yeah, me too.
Because like when you're like, oh, let's put my bed into the bathtub, maybe, yeah. I don't know. In conclusion, I don't understand physics, but neither does the contestants, not the competitors. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Unless, you, like, I don't know, blow your back out while doing this. But if you blow your bath up during the bathtub, you would definitely blow your back up during the stage task that comes now.
Yeah, true, yeah.
And, I'm just gonna preemptively say this, so I don't have to say it every episode forever. I've never liked the final on-stage task.
Same. Again, I appreciate it for having the live aspect to it, and so that it's not like a whole scripted thing. There's like a randomness live, but past the live aspect of it, there's no like value to it beyond the one time,
No, there isn't. I mean, it's funny in some weird... Okay, there are some tasks that are funny, don't get me wrong. Tonight's task is not one of them.
No.
So basically, if I may, I would like to read the task. Pop up a tent. Get in the tent. Zip up a tent. Pop on a onesie in the tent and emerge from the tent wearing the onesie. Parentheses, quickest wins. So we're making a stage on a task where people can't see anything in the first place. And part of the task is don't get seen.
Yeah.
Emerge completely so neither the camera nor the audience can see you.
Yeah.
Who thought that was a good idea?
Yeah, to be fair. I mean, to be fair, in some sense, there was probably in the room where they were going over this, like, oh, we need a live aspect to it, so that it's not like completely scripted. So there's some randomness in it, and it was just them scrambling day after day, week after week on this thing, and just being like, "Fuck
Fuck
it,
it.
that's our answer.
Fuck it, the
Fine,
Glastonbury
whatever."
Festival, whatever. Get in a 1C while in a tent.
Yeah,
An
exactly.
experience I think many have tried before. Not me though, but
Hmm.
there's not much to say about this task other than Machine
No.
getting. Let me just count here. 1, 2, 3. Her fourth last place.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I remember. No, yeah, her fourth last place.
Didn't even get in the tent.
No, that's kind of. I would say embarrassing, but it's just more like awkward.
Hmm.
Wait,
Yeah.
my count is wrong. 1, 2, 3. No, she was only last 3 times, except for the bathtub one, where she would have been last if Tim hadn't cheated. Not really her strongest performance this episode.
No, not really. No.
And regardless, I don't think there is a strategy for putting on for popping up a tent and getting dressed inside of it.
No, I do enjoy it for its panic-inducing part, but again, the live tasks are like not interesting in the fact that like they're very prescriptive, and they're really only there for having live randomness, and was like more of
Yeah.
an afterthought kind of deal. I mean, to be fair, I do emulate that in my game show because I understand the purpose of it, but I also understand that there's no longevity to it, too. You know.
My main argument is just you can't see anything. They're in a tent.
Yeah,
I don't know what to say.
true.
It's just silly. I mean, make of that what you want. It's silly. But yeah, let me get this up here again. Tim wins, and that doesn't do anything. Ramesh coincidentally finishes two points behind Frank, which means it's a tie. It's a tie, which means,
Yep, they went on to a tiebreaker, which is
tiebreaker.
which
Sorry.
is also interesting because it implies that the fact that like again back to like picking tasks for episodes and stuff, like they had to had a bigger pool of everything
Of course, I mean,
so that they can account for these things.
yeah, of course. I mean, we know there are tasks that never makes it to the show for whatever reason.
But it
That
does speak to the production value of the show that they have forethought to be like, all right, we need a bigger pool of tasks just in case some
Yeah,
don't play out well, and we need a even bigger pool of tasks in case we have ties, especially if we have a tie every episode, like on and
and
on and on.
and what if we just want to bully someone by making them count the number of beans?
That's not until season 2, I believe.
But still, it's funny.
It's funny, but that's for later.
Just, I was amused.
Oh, it's definitely amusing, but we will talk about that later.
We'll get to that. I know. We'll get to that. But there's not much to it. Just find Alex Horn.
Yeah,
That's
not
just
to miss
really.
this task,
It
which
isn't
is a
really much.
very quick one.
Isn't much. Unless you know how to make Alex cry in pain or laugh. I don't think there's a tactic to it.
I mean, speaking of that tactic, I mean, it probably wouldn't make it to the show, but if you just start running around and absolutely dog shitting on Alex with the most harshest slurs you can think of,
I think you would get
the
bonus points.
it would be shown, but I think you would get to Alex faster
No, I
because
mean,
they'll be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! What are you doing, buddy?"
I will say though, this show was broadcast on on a channel called Dave, and from my limited experience with Dave, it's a very loose show with that kind of thing. So just leave it out and call it a day,
Mm-hmm.
Um. So basically, I think you'll just be like beep, 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 Alex, beep, and just Alex just dying of laughter and inside a caravan or whatever.
Yeah, I honestly do believe that as if I was put on the spot, I would be trying to swear them out.
I mean, I think it's a solid plan. I would probably call him. I mean, he probably has his phone on him. He's a modern man.
True. But do the contestants know Alex's phone? That's a
I think
good
they do. I
question.
mean, they probably do. As we said at the start of the episode, there's a good chance these people know each other beforehand.
True, true, you're right.
It just, maybe, maybe.
Mhm.
It's a long shot, I know.
Oh, also, now that I'm looking at this screenshot of the bonus task, I noticed that there are couches in the opening room with pillows. We didn't account for those in the tub one of just throwing the pillows in.
I think it was more like implied that you just throw random stuff in. I'm not sure a
True.
pillow would exactly help, but I
I
don't.
think it'll be just as effective as anything else. It has volume and it can absorb, which either way works, you know?
I don't know. I don't know. I think. I still think the bucket's probably faster than a pillow, but yeah,
Well,
it's
it's not
just me.
just the pillow. It would be you accumulate enough things to fill the tub, you know?
Yeah, true. It would
By
probably be
volume.
slower. Probably.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe. In any case, Frank wins the show.
Mm-hmm.
And this is honestly also my final note on my note paper, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna quote it as I wrote it. I think all episodes should end with Frank Skinner throwing a prize at the audience or wearing a reindeer skull.
Okay, but that implies that Frank wins every episode, so they can actually be in
No, just
position
give
to
him
do
a
that.
prize and he'll just launch it at them.
Why don't you just generalize it to the winner should do this every episode in
Because we don't
general?
always have a reindeer skull on hand.
But we do have a prize to throw into the audience on hand
True,
every
but I believe
episode.
in this case it was a football, and that's. I mean,
Yeah, but
imagine.
later we have the check, which could be thrown into the audience. That would be cool.
No, that would probably cause a murder and probably a lawsuit. Just saying, just saying. In America, it would.
Yeah, but we're in Britain. I have better faith in Britons than Americans on this plane, you know?
That's a fair point. I mean,
Mhm.
of course, for the Americans in our audience, and that's Bayo disappearing under his chair.
Yeah, sorry. I was taking a sip and the camera freaked out.
God damn it, Bayo. For the Americans in the audience, and the British people aren't what you think they are. They're more like the Floridans of Europe. And
Really?
yeah, they are. At least the English portion of them, they're more like the people
Really,
who
the
walk into the
English
bar.
portion.
The English people are like the worst part of Europe. I think they're like they walk into a bar and you just know, oh god, the English here. They walk in, they're completely red because they're sunburned. They're drunk and they don't speak the local language, and they're
Okay,
fat.
that's fair.
Um,
That's fair.
um,
Yeah.
the whole illusion of British people being posh and well educated and we're drinking tea. No, 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 no. The Europeans don't have such illusions about the British.
Okay. Today I
They
learned.
yeah, they are they are how I imagine your Americans see Florida.
Mm. Which then makes it even worse because, like, if that's how the British are to you, America must be far worse to you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Like,
if
absolute, like, beyond despicable at that point.
I mean just yeah, yeah. No, no, we're not tipping 20%. Like it's fine. Just go away now, sir. We can eat our own food now. Just the American tipping culture. But that's not the point of this episode. I'm just saying we Europeans are never going to be fans of Americans. I think
Never.
at
No.
least until there's another world war.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, no.
And on that, very uplifting bombshell.
You
we're not
had
gonna
to use bombshell, didn't you?
Sorry, I had to quote Jeremy Clarkson. He has nothing to do with the show, but you gotta quote him once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're not having a world war today. But maybe we'll have another episode of the show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Especially if Bayo is getting drunk. Then we'll definitely have one.
Oh yeah,
I mean, we can.
we can hope, but we should wrap up this episode for now.
Yes. In conclusion, Roshin is shit. Well, at this episode at least. I'm sure she's a fine person.
I feel like they're the dedicated Rube, and that's fine to have.
They're
Everything
all
needs their-
Rubes.
They're all Rubes. Fair.
I'm saying that because they're British, but shut up. Frank wins. Frank throws stuff at the audience. Cue the credits, and see you next time. I'm Jasper. That's been Bayo.
Bye.
Bayo.